Hey folks, let me show you our new toy. This is the 2025 Ural Sahara Gear Up, which is a two-wheel drive adventure bike with a sidecar. And we have some pretty exciting plans in store here, so stay tuned. All right. Okay, well, this is my very first off-road riding on the Ural here. We'll take you for a ride through this campground. It's pretty well spread out. We're going to go down here first, down by the water, and talk about the bike, and then I'll take you further along this river where you can pan for gold. We'll be going by these little lean-tos where they have the trays where you shovel your gravel and you sift through with the water to separate the sediment from hopefully your little gold dust and gold nuggets. So hang in there. The placement of this camera, again, I'm working out the details and fine-tuning my videoing of this here, riding the Ural. So as you can see, the placement of the camera isn't perfect, but down the road things will improve. So just bear with me here. We're coming down, came down a very steep, loose gravel road, and now we're down to the river level here. There are a couple of camps down here where people live. I think it appears to be they're here full time down here. This campground is very laid back, very laid back. Basically, you can do whatever you want, you know, with respect to others. And you can camp anywhere. You can actually camp down here near the river, but they have a history of this flooding out. So, you know, I was thinking about coming down here, as you'll hear later on. But we just had last week a storm, and all this was underwater. There was 5 feet of water here, so if you were camped down here, you'd be in serious trouble. And I think I'll be mentioning that down the video here a little bit further. Okay, we're coming up into an open area. Beautiful here, though, to spend the day. And I was considering moving the van and camping right on this little knoll here up against the river until I found out about the flooding. Then I chickened out. Okay, here we go. Alright guys, here's my new toy. This is the 2025 Ural. This is the Sahara two-wheel drive. Yep. Got a little malfunction there with one of the cameras. Yeah, and there's my passenger, my navigator, Molly. Yeah, I've been working on this thing for 3 weeks, ordering parts and which I will get into in the next video. I'll show the accessories. I installed all of them, so it can be done. But yeah, we're here at the Alabama Gold Mine Campground, and way down there where those shacks are, I don't know if you can see them, that's where you're paying for gold. And these are areas where they dug down with the excavator. You got all these ponds in the past where they were excavating for gold along this river here. And they actually dug out the river too. Evidently they got a lot of gold here. So, but it's kind of waning down, so they turned it into a campground. And people are still getting gold here. Not a lot, but it's something to do. It's a great place to bring your family, kids. And you can camp out here too. You can camp anywhere you want out here. The only problem here is, like the last heavy rain they had, all this was underwater, like feet underwater. So you really got to make sure if you're camping down here that you have good weather, because evidently there's a major river over that way, and there's a big reservoir, and when they open up the reservoir, the water backs up into here and all this here floods. So you got to be careful when you're coming down here. I was going to camp here this weekend, and then they told me about how it backs up occasionally. I'm like, nah, forget it. I don't want to be floating away. This is the new toy. This is the 25 Ural Sahara. It's actually the expedition setup the way I have it. There are a lot of trips planned for this thing. So this is going to be the second half of my channel. So anything to do with the Ural is probably going to come out on a Wednesday night, and the Revel van, those videos will come out on the regular schedule, which will be on Saturday evenings is usually when I load those. So yeah, I'm kind of in between coming off my winter trips and now getting geared up for the springtime trips. So there may be a couple of weeks where there's no videos, just because I've been working on this thing for a month and I haven't been doing anything. So hopefully we'll get back into the videoing routine again. So all right. Yeah, if you come here, you definitely need your bike. A lot of the folks here have four-wheelers, miles and miles of trails in the area. So, or you can drive your rig down here to the water where these lean-tos are, where you can pan for your gold, or just hang out on the edge of the river here. But yeah, plan on doing a lot of walking, pedaling, or riding. Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you, this is it's like learning how to ride all over again. I've been riding motorcycles, my Harleys and larger Hondas for over 50 years of riding and hundreds of thousands of miles. And everything that I've learned, you got to throw it out the window. This is totally different, totally different. So be prepared if you go this route. It's a great toy for off-road. Not so great if you're going across country. You can do it, people have done it. I'm planning on some long distance trips, but it's mainly an off-road bike. And again, there's a whole new learning curve to riding a bike with a sidecar. It's going to take a while. I've been hearing stories that you need at least 500 to 1,000 miles to get comfortable on riding on one of these Urals. So I only have about 200 miles on it now, but I'm enjoying it. It's nice to be able to take your passenger with you, whether it's a four-legged or a two-legged passenger. They're right beside you. Pretty cool. All right, let's continue on here. Over here on the right, we'll see it in a minute here, is where the lean-tos are, and where you pan for your gold. And over here on the left is a couple of excavators where they're actually digging down, basically creating another pond, but that's where they're getting the material in this low area to sift through to find your gold dust and small nuggets. And we're working our way back up to the main office area, and then we're going to cross the main road. They own all the land across the street, across the main road, and we're going to drop down. And this is where the Revel, not the Revel, the Ural, really showed me what it can do. This was extremely steep and rocky and washed out. In fact, I was talking with somebody a little later on during the day, and they said they wouldn't even have taken their 4x4 down there. That's how rough it was. I didn't realize it. I just thought it was another trail, and I went down with the bike. And I was surprised. I was very, very surprised on how it handled. So I'm going to, in a second here, we'll switch over to that part of the video where we're traversing down we're climbing back up to get on the high ground, and then in a minute here you're going to see where we're going to be going back down, and it's pretty steep. It's pretty steep. Okay. All right, here we go. Look at how it just drops down. It's the video is really not showing how steep it is, but it's at least a 30-degree or more of an angle going down, and it's a lot. It's washed out. At one point, I thought I was going to roll it. The sidecar was like a foot higher than what the main bike was. Now I know I'm probably going to get some flack, but I'm not wearing a helmet or any protective gear, but I'm just tooling around in slow motion here, just kind of showing you the highlights of the campground. But yes, I wear full body armor, full headgear. You know, again, I'm just riding around the campground in slow-mo, so really no need to get all armored up at this point. Okay.
right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, folks, hope you enjoyed this. Looking forward to our new adventures with the Ural. See you on the next video. Okay, bye.